Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Izzy, and this is the Redzone Report live here on the Built-in Buffalo YouTube, Facebook, and X channels. I talk football every week, 7 p.m., and it's always about the Bills and maybe about some other teams, but always the Bills. And so it's our bye week, and we have some things to discuss because we've lost 2 in a row. You know what it is. Let's talk about it. Welcome, everybody. Again, I'm your host, Izzy. This is the Redzone Report live on Built-in Buffalo's X, YouTube, and Facebook channels. And we discuss the Buffalo Bills here at Built-in Buffalo and the NFL as it pertains to said Bills. And this is our bye week. So no Bills football today. And I think that we're all kind of happy that's the case, right? It's week 6. Going into the season, I had the Bills being 5-1 or 6-0 at this point. We are 4-2, so we're a little bit under what I thought we would be, but still not a bad spot. And the Buffalo Bills have been 4-2, I think 5 of the last 6 years. So it's nothing new for us to be in this position, right? And the schedule still is what it is. It's not that difficult of a schedule, but we shall see. Early comment section, Miss Nance. Hi, Izzy. How you doing, Miss Nance? Good to see you again. Christopher L. Roseboro, Izzy, what's up, go Bills? Hey, same to you, boss. And Sandra L. King, always here for me. Appreciate you, Sandra. Go Bills. Was a rough week. You know, the Bills went and we hosted, or did we host it? We went and we played against the freaking Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, and it didn't really go our way at all. The Bills looked perplexed. They looked out of sorts. They didn't look like the Buffalo Bills that we're used to seeing, right? And the Falcons are not a great team, but they do have a really good defense. And last week I did highlight before our game that the Atlanta Falcons defense could give us problems, and that Bijan Robinson is special, and that Bijan Robinson could gash us, and he did exactly that. He had an 81-yard touchdown run on us. Almost was caught from behind by Cole Bishop, but the game itself was just an ugly game to watch. It was if you were a Bills fan, just wasn't there. And so the Bills go to Atlanta and just god awful. And this game, I don't like to point blame at people, but Josh Allen did not look great this game. Right? And I see my man Kevin Till here, right? Came in, let's go Buffalo. And then Colin Clifford comes in, let's go. And then Kevin Till again, got to find an elite wide receiver. I don't care about first-round draft picks. Look, if we get an elite wide receiver for a first-round draft pick, I'm okay with that. My thing is, after watching the tape, there was a lot of plays where there were open receivers and Josh wasn't throwing the ball. So I got to put this on the receivers and Josh Allen, right? Because there were some drop passes. There were some plays where they weren't open, but there were also plays where they were wide open and Josh wasn't getting the ball. And I don't know what's up with Josh right now, but he probably needs this bye week to really focus, get back into focus, right? Because the defense did fairly well this week. I know we got gashed, right? So I'm not talking about the defense played great, right? We got gashed on the ground. But the defense did what they could to get the ball back for the Bills. They only allowed 24 points in a game where the Bills lost the turnover battle again. And it was an embarrassing game if you're a Bills fan. Josh threw 2 picks. One at the last second that was tipped towards the end of the game where we were trying to make a comeback, and it sealed, the loss. The defense allowed 210 yards of rushing. Bijan Robinson had 19 for 170. Tyler Algier had 10 for 32. Both of them had a rushing touchdown. Michael Penix, scrambled twice for 6 yards. And then Felipe Franks, I guess as a fullback, had 1 carry for 2 yards. Right? They gashed us in the ground. Through the air, 250 yards isn't crazy. And Michael Penix Jr.'s QBR was 33. His passer rating was 97.1, so not bad. But Drake London was their only guy that really ate through the air. Bijan Robinson did well through the air as well. 6 catches for 68 yards, 11 yards average per reception for him. The Bills are floundering a little bit right now, right? And as you see here, Kebby comes in. My man Kebby, he's here often enough. Only allowed 3 points in the second half. The offense did nothing. They didn't do a damn thing. And full disclosure, I'm not happy with the performance. Man, John Robert, hey, stranger, let's go. See, Kebby says it was embarrassing. Don't like this married Josh. Missed tackles, fine them for no tackling. Colin Clifford, Josh has a couple of weeks every year where he slumps a bit. It seems to always be around this time. That's true. I mentioned that last week too when I did my show on Sunday. The game was on Monday. I said that, is this going to be the lull that the Bills used to have in the middle of the season where we would start off hot and then we'd have a little lull and then we'd go on a streak towards the end of the season? Very possible, but I still don't like it. Right? It's not fun watching our team lose, especially games that we shouldn't lose. Right? We shouldn't have lost to the Patriots and we shouldn't have lost to the Falcons. We lost to both those teams, and that's unfortunate, especially since the Patriots are in division and are now leading the division and are a game and a half ahead of us right now. They beat us, and then they're half a game ahead, record to record. But that loss to them gives them the tiebreaker, so that's a full game and a half. See, fullback who played in college. We will rebound next week. I'm pretty sure we will. We have never lost after a bye week. There's a lot of consistencies that are happening right now. Losing a couple games to teams we shouldn't, and never losing after a bye week. Now, we'll see what happens because we have some reinforcements coming, which is what this show is named for, is help on the way, right? And this week, we get back, for sure, Larry Ogunjobi, and we get back Michael Hoyt, both of which are very good run stoppers. And if the Bills can start to stop the run, the Bills can actually start to make some noise and do some good. Larry Ogunjobi is a good NFL defensive tackle, right? He's not a special defensive tackle, but he's a good NFL defensive tackle, right? He's not some guy who's a practice squad guy that you bring up. He's a serviceable guy who can play the position and play it well. He's not a Dexter Lawrence. He's not like an elite tier and like that. Obviously, he's on a 1-year deal with us, and he's bounced around a little bit, but he's a good quality, rotational piece in the NFL. So we'll see what happens there. See, I'll be at Bank of America Stadium this Sunday, but know this: Carolina runs the ball well, and their D-line is elite at stopping the run. The Panthers are going to give us issues. So I might actually be at that game too. We put my name in the vet ticks, and we'll see if they come up with any tickets for the Panthers game. It's a lottery, so we'll see what happens. I might end up going to the game. Money's a little tight, so I'm not buying tickets, but yeah. If I was buying tickets, I'd have been going to the Atlanta game. I'm glad I didn't have money to go to that game, so we'll see. See, they didn't use Cook as often as the Bills should. They didn't. They actually kind of gave up on Cook in the fourth quarter, which I don't know why, because in the third quarter when we scored that touchdown, James Cook ran for like 7 yards and 5 yards and 3 yards and 7 yards and 8 yards. Like he had a bunch of chunk runs, and he was dominating on the ground in the third quarter. I don't know why they went away from that. Maybe they thought there wasn't enough time, but I don't like the way they did that either. The game plan was not there. That end around to Elijah Moore was some BS. The way that they scripted that game was just terrible. Kebby, quick question: if Banish was called out for being cute, why in the heck would do it again on a 3rd and 2? Dude, I don't know. I think you're trying to say Babbage there, not Banish, but it's actually the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. And so if he's being too cute, Joe Brady should know better, right? We don't need to be cute. We need to be dominant, right? And James Cook was dominating, and he took the ball out of his hands. And I don't like that at all because James Cook has shown that he doesn't take a lot of contact. He's real wriggly when he comes to getting through the hole and being able to be agile off the point of attack. So I think Babbage can do more to be cuter on the defensive side, and I think that Brady needs to cut that crap out for a little bit, right? Like get back to the basics and let this offense dominate the way it's built to dominate, which is on the ground. So yeah, Cook was not in the game when it matters. Exactly. Someone is looking to become a scapegoat. Ouch. I hope not. Man, Charles. We need Ogunjobi with Daquan injured. So if Daquan's injured, I could see them maybe putting him on IR if it's going to be something serious. Like I believe it was a pec or a quad? It was something going on there. Let me see. I'll pull up the Bills website real quick. I have ESPN here. Let me see if they have the injury report. Injuries. Daquan Jones, calf. So it's a calf week to week. We're getting our boy back, Ogunjobi. They could, put Daquan on IR for 4 weeks and let him heal up. Give him the time he needs, right? Because we've got big boys that can step in there, right? And I'm going to talk about the big boys too, because some of them deserve a little love. Yeah, they paid him enough money to use him. Yeah, exactly. McD was upset Cook wasn't in. Sometimes McDermott, generally speaking, I'm on McDermott's side, right? I think he's an excellent NFL coach. I think he's going to break it out sooner than later. I think that he's going to get us to Super Bowl. I think that Sean McDermott is a guy who, if we fired him, he would have a job tomorrow as a head coach. He would not be a coordinator. He'd probably be a head coach real quick. With the success he's had with the Bills, some team like Cleveland or Miami, which would be terrifying, would pick him up. He'd change the culture in that place, and then we'd be sitting here, got Josh Allen. And if you get a good enough coach, you can make things happen. But I think he's that guy. But when it comes to being upset that James Cook's not in there, you need to shut up about it in the media. You have this thing on, it's called a headset, and it's got a microphone on it in the front, and you can just call the OC and say, hey, Jimbo needs to be in the game. That was working. More of that. Sometimes you got to step in and say something to him. Yeah, I know he's not going to go in there and call offensive plays. That's not his bag. He's a defensive guy. But you can tell your dude to do his freaking job. I'll get off my soapbox there. Watching some of these other teams around the league, I feel like we're in trouble. We aren't evolving. We're evolving. We're just not evolving well. We're evolving to some garbage. So we need to fix that. Speaking of garbage, the Dolphins and the Jets both lost today. So that's awesome. Let's see. Go Bills, my man Chris 716. How you been, Izzy? I've been pretty good, man. Living life, working hard. See, walking in faith with Jacob Spears. Jacob, hey, how you doing, buddy? Much love to you, my man. Sean McDermott needs to go. Every year is the same thing with him. Doesn't hold Josh Allen accountable or the defense. I think he does hold them accountable. I just think that he doesn't do it in front of the media. You don't do that, in public, right? There's a place and there's a time to do those things. And I don't think he needs to go at all. I think he's one of the best head coaches in the NFL. You don't go to the playoffs, 7 years in a row and win a division 5 years in a row, or six years in a row and then 5 years in a row. You don't do that and then aren't worthy of being an NFL head coach. I think that he's doing those things that you're saying he's not doing. He's just not doing it in public, right? You don't talk about your partners in public. If Dalton Kincaid leads the team in receiving yards, that's kind of strange for a tight end to lead the team in. It is a little weird, but that's what we drafted him for, right? We drafted Dalton Kincaid because he's that damn good. And it's turning out that he is having a good breakout little season here. And hopefully we'll see what happens. The rumor is Brady would be head coach for Penn State. I mean, regardless of where Brady would go as a head coach, he's going to have to get this offense moving the way it's supposed to be moving if anybody's going to hire him. No one's going to straight up just hire Brady because he had, last year this offense humming. But if this year it looks like trash, no one's going to sign him to be their head coach. He's going to have to earn that just like anybody else. Do you think Bean makes a trade or do they sit on their hands? From my understanding, Bean is known to make trades at the deadline. So Bean is very well known to be making trades at the deadline. Bean is probably looking at guys whose contracts are not super expensive, but are still top-tier receivers, or at least once were top-tier receivers, so he can trade somewhere between a first and a third. Most likely it won't be a first-round, worthy receiver. Most likely it'll be somebody who's a little older, probably around 30, probably just like last year when we got Amari Cooper, and that contract was $800,000 that we took on. They're probably going to end up trading, an Epinesa and a fifth or something, or an Epinesa and a fourth for someone around the league whose contract is going to be manageable. The contract has to be manageable. See, Bills Mafia is going to take over Charlotte on Sunday. There's a ton of Bills fans down here in North Carolina, South Carolina. There are. I'm one of them. I'm one of them. So I live in the Fayetteville area. So if we get tickets, I'm going to the game next week. It'll be fun. Can we still win the division? Yes, Jacob, we can. We are definitely far from out of the division race. We can actually beat the Patriots again, tie them, and if we have a better division record than them, which I don't see it happening, I think that we'll both end up 5-1 in the division. If we, when we play them again, I think we're going to beat them. At that point, conference record will be the big deal. So we'll see what happens there. Joe needs to do better as an OC, and Bobby needs to scheme better also. Yes, that's true. Also, I think that also getting back Ogunjobi is going to be a big thing. It's going to be big. Yeah, I want Jordan Addison. That would be awesome. Jordan Addison will be awesome. So, yeah, I'm in Fayetteville since so I've been here since 2008 when I PCS here from Fort Gordon, Georgia. I was down in Georgia training. Before that, I was in Alaska. So when I retrained for new MOS, I went to Fort Gordon and then ended up here at Fort Bragg, Simmons Army Airfield, where I worked on helicopters. It's a good time. So we need to trade for Rashid Shaheed. He can take the top off our offense and force safeties and coverage. So I would personally go after Jordan Addison before Rashid Shaheed. I like Rashid Shaheed, right? I do like Rashid Shaheed, but Rashid Shaheed is a fast guy, and I don't think there's much else to his game, right? I think Elijah Moore can separate and needs to be passed to more. I agree with that. But we have a Rashid Shaheed kind of guy in Elijah Moore. And while I do like Shaheed and he does have that take the top off, I think that Shaheed is more of a one-trick pony, and we need somebody more than that. Like all the guys we have right now are basically one-trick ponies. Khalil Shakir, slot guy. Run screens, run slants, can run a sluggo pretty good. He's got a few different routes that he can run pretty decently. An outside corner route is pretty good, but he's not a deep threat at all. He's a intermediate to underneath guy. He's not a one-trick pony, but he's limited in that. You look at Curtis Samuel. He's a slot guy, trick play, gadgets. Elijah Moore is being used in that capacity right now as well. Palmer is more of a deep threat. He can get open deep, but he's not really known for the short intermediate stuff. He's a bit of a separator. I think that's going to be tough, right? Keon Coleman, he's a jump ball guy, right? He can run some decent routes, but he's not fast. He doesn't separate, and he is more of a guy who you throw contested catches to him, and he's going to go beat the guy. I don't think that he's fully trusted yet by Josh because he hasn't been throwing those passes like that here in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if something happened that threw him off, but I don't like that at all. But we'll see what happens. Then you look at we talk Coleman, Shakir. Moore is a guy, like a speed guy. He can get open pretty decently, but he's kind of an average receiver, right? So the Bills probably need to go after Shavers. He's more of a he's wide receiver 6. You know, he can catch the ball every now and then, but he's not somebody who's to be trusted with big stuff. You don't elevate somebody like that to a position where he is that important to the offense. So our receiver room needs a big swing and you know what, and you're gonna have to get somebody who's fairly young towards the end of a rookie contract, where they're like a third round pick before. Maybe like Jordan Addison, I think was a first round pick, so he might have a 5th-year option that we can activate. He's somebody I look at more than a Shaheed. But you also look at teams like the Packers where they have a bevy of young receivers. That's a place you could look. You could look at the Vikings with Addison. You could look at Miami with Waddle, which my man Jacob Spears says right here. I'm seeing Waddle to the Bills rumors. I don't know about that. I don't know if they trade him in division, but I mean I would take it. So the Bills have around $2 million in cap. They do have $2 million in cap. They can make room. They could kick a can down the road if they wanted to. They could trade an AJ Epinesa along with this to make some cap space for the Bills. Which I prefer to keep Epinesa because he's playing pretty freaking well right now. Right? Epinesa's having a solid year. And so with that being said, I would prefer to keep him around. What is going on here? But yeah, AJ Epinesa is a guy who's playing fairly well, and I would prefer to keep him around. But man, it's hard to watch this offense, right? But the thing is, some of the guys are getting open, and this past week, Josh just wasn't hitting them with the ball. See, the only thing I'm worried about is the Bills getting a player and don't know how to use them, like MVS. When we got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and then he didn't pan out, we let him go. He went to the Saints, and all of a sudden lit it up. And then he ended up in Seattle, and he looked pretty good over there too. But I don't. That's a mid-tier guy. If we're looking at taking a shot at somebody, a team is looking to create some cap space, and they need to get rid of somebody in order to do so. Nobody's earning their pay. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. At the last 2 weeks, nobody is earning their pay. The only players on this team I'd say that are earning their pay are Joey Bosa, Ed Oliver, Cole Bishop. That's on defense. And on offense, Connor McGovern, James Cook, and Dalton Kincaid. That's it. Those are our guys. Everybody else is a damn shame. See, Milano should sit out the rest of the season. I don't know about all that, man. I don't know about all that. When he had a rough first game. That first game of the year against the Ravens was rough. Then he looked solid. He looked pretty good. He looked more like the old Milano, and then he got hurt. Shaq Thompson does look good, but he does get dinged up every now and then too. So I think that you keep both of them around. Maybe you rotate them. Like on rundowns, sit Milano. Let Shaq Thompson get out there. Or on third down, let Shaq Thompson go out there and take care of business on third down. So the Bills only have to pay the players' salary. I don't know what else you're saying there. See, Miami is such a mess right now. I don't think they'd care about trading Waddle in the division as long as the price was right for them. I'd also have to look at his contract. See, AJ has been traded 200 times since last season ended. AJ. Oh, you're talking about Epinesa, yeah. The Bills need a legit route runner and someone who can get open on their own, like Jordan Addison. See, are you worried about division and playoffs? As of right now, yes. See. See, what about Josh is earning his pay? Josh was earning his pay until week 5, and then, you know, Izzy, what a great pick in Deion Walker. So I was actually going to talk about Deion Walker. Deion Walker is the type of player. I got to see something real quick. Deion Walker is a player who has earned every bit of shine he's got. Deion Walker has earned every rep he's gotten. Deion Walker needs to be on the field more. Deion Walker's proving to be an excellent draft pick. I was against picking him, right? I know a few other content creators like Joe Brady on Locked On Bills. He was against picking him. He wanted to like stay as far away from this kid as possible. Well, we were both wrong, and that kid is lighting it up. Deion Walker is a savage, and he needs to be on the field more. He has earned more time. If you ask me, he should be starting next to Ed Oliver. I will say that again for those in the peanut gallery and in the back who can't hear me. Deion Walker has earned more playing time. He's earned it. So give that man what he's due and let him play the way he's supposed to play. StreamYard's messing up. I don't like it. It's okay. I'm going to take this off right here. Y'all can just see the whole room. Never mind. Bit of a mess. But yeah, Deion Walker is a player who out of college, I just didn't think much of him. I didn't realize he had a bad back. Heard about it later on, and that made me even not want him even more. And then all of a sudden, Deion Walker comes out, and they say he's fully healed. And I was all for it at that point. I was like, you know what? Might as well just get used to it. And man, has he proven me wrong? And I'm glad for it. He's proven me wrong, and I'll accept that. Let's see. Whatever. Anyway. He needs more time. He needs to be. Come on. I'll have to fix that for the next show. That's going to aggravate the heck out of me. But Deion Walker needs to be on the field more. He needs to start. Let's see. November 2nd, KC comes to town. Hell yeah. We will be ready. I'm pretty sure we will. Exactly. So, yes, when you brought up Deion Walker, I had a plan this entire time to talk about Deion Walker during the show. I am so pleasantly surprised. He leads the league in rookies, out of all the rookies, in tackles for a loss. He's tied for the league in tackles for a loss. That kid is getting into the backfield. And these aren't sacks. These are tackles for a loss. Running backs, wide receivers on end arounds. Like, he's getting into the backfield and getting to the running back. This guy needs to be on the field more. Period. See, DJ hurt, so he probably will be. He needs to be. DJ's hurt more and Sanders is hurt more. You're getting Ogunjobi back, but now it's Ed Oliver, Ogunjobi, Deion Walker, and who else is on this team right now? Defensive tackle. Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones is questionable. Ogunjobi, Deion Walker, TJ Sanders, and Dwayne Carter are on IR. So they'll probably elevate like a Zion Logue this week or Jordan Phillips. But yeah, he probably will be. See, I feel like we're going to end up with Jacoby Myers, but that doesn't move the needle much. He is more of a slot. Yeah, I don't think we need a slot guy. We need an outside receiver. If I'm Brandon Bean, I'd call up freaking – what's his name? Amari Cooper, and see if he wants to come back for a little bit. Daquan Jones is washed. I don't know if he's washed, so to speak, Jacob, but he's not as good as he was, right? But washed means like he's terrible. He's not terrible. He's making some noise. He's got a couple sacks in the season, but the injuries are starting to pile up, and it's probably time. This is his last season. He's probably going to retire after this year. It's a game wrecker. Oliver said he's a dancing bear. Bosa said it too. And is. Yes, Cole Bishop isn't ready. I disagree. Cole Bishop is looking better and better every week. He's gotten better every week. When you invest a second round pick in a safety, they got to play. Now, Taylor Rapp looks like trash out there. Taylor Rapp does not look good at all. Taylor Rapp has been a mess. At least in coverage, Cole Bishop has looked good. He's looked good rushing the passer. But Taylor Rapp looks like straight ass. In the words of my son, boo-boo caca. Jordan Poyer this past week looked better than Taylor Rapp. It was bad. Yeah, you agree he's washed. Okay, well, there you go. See, Taylor Rapp is the liability on defense. Yes. Taylor Rapp is god-awful this year. I don't know if it's a mental thing, like he's in his head. You know, I don't know what's going on, like, because he got the concussion last year. Remember when he tried to tackle Derrick Henry and he got kneed in the face on Derrick Henry's way into the end zone? And I don't know if something from that or just being, injured often as he is, maybe he's, pulling up and making business decisions, but it's been a liability. See, Taylor is trash. Okay, yep. See, both safeties can't tackle and continue to take bad angles. I disagree with you on that one. Taylor Rapp has been pretty good. Has been great? No. He's developing. He's looking better and better. Let's see. I gotta look this up. I gotta sign in. Boom. Cole Bishop. Pull up all of his numbers. PFF has grades on him, but not just grades. But I'll give you his grades too. Cole Bishop's PFF grade is a solid 64.7. His pass rush game, 77. His run defense grade, 65.3. And his coverage grade, 62.1. All of those grades are in the green. He's got 18 solo tackles. He's got 6 assisted tackles. He's got no forced fumbles. He's got 3 stops, 2 sacks on the season, 5 missed tackles. That's it. So in 5 games, he's missed, or 6 games, he's missed 5 tackles. Cole Bishop is not missing a lot of tackles. Our linebackers are non-existent. That is true. That is true. Unless they're hitting somebody and forcing a fumble, they're not doing anything at all. And Terrell Bernard looks plain bad in coverage. Like, just watching Terrell Bernard, he doesn't look good in coverage. Let's see, Terrell Bernard. There's only one L in his name. And yeah, as I suspected, PFF grade 49.3. Pass rush grade 60.7. Run defense grade 54.6. And coverage grade 49.6. This guy's supposed to be a coverage guy, and he's not covering. Right, he's missed 6 tackles, which isn't crazy. He's got 22 solo tackles. He's got 8 assisted tackles, 10 stops. Passer rating allowed 68. So not bad in coverage like that, but just not great in coverage. It's a letdown for what we sign him for. Our linebackers are non-existent, as you said. And I think that I agree with Joshua Richards. I think it was Joshua, or was that him or Charles, who said Milano needs to sit the rest of the year. I agree to the extent to where Milano needs to sit more. He doesn't need to sit for the rest of the year, but Shaq Thompson should be out there more, because Shaq Thompson is making his presence felt when he's out there. He's just not out there enough, and that's part of the problem. He's not out there enough, and we need him to be out there more. Shaq Thompson has been a force. I mean, he's a tackling machine still, and he's not seeing the field enough. Right? PFF grade Shaq Thompson is a 90.4. He is by far our best player on defense when he's out there. He's ranked 3rd among all linebackers in the NFL right now. Shaq Thompson needs to see the field more. So if you're asking me, looking at our roster right now, the starting D line needs to be Joey Bosa, Deion Walker, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, right? At corners right now is going to be Trey White and Christian Benford until Max Harrison comes back. Hopefully, Max Harrison, they open his window this week. I hope. And he can come back within the next couple weeks. At linebacker, it should be Terrell Bernard and Shaq Thompson. Right? Dorian Williams should be the third linebacker when we run those. Taylor Rapp at safety, I'd prefer to sit him. I'd prefer to sit him because he's got a 44.6 PFF grade, which is 77th out of 81 safeties with enough reps. 77th out of 81. Horrible. Cole Bishop's 37th. Okay, I can take that from a second-round pick who is starting his first season. Like, this is his first season as a starter. So I'll take that from him. He's getting that respect right there, and he's playing solid. But Taylor Rapp, there's no excuse for this. The Bills need to trade for Reek Woolen and start Hancock over at safety. Exactly. Yes. Jordan Hancock needs to start over Taylor Rapp. He's younger. He's faster. He's played in an elite college defense at Ohio State. He's shown the ability to track down offensive players with guile and skill. Yes. Hancock needs to start at safety. Now, if Reek Woolen's on the block, then you go get him, right? Because I like Reek Woolen. You know, you send him Tre'Davious White, send him AJ Panessa, and I'm going to keep saying AJ Panessa because his contract loosens stuff up. Or you send him I would send him Curtis Samuel and then a third for Reek Woolen and then throw in an extra seventh for them taking Curtis Samuel off our hands. I'm sure that Sam Darnold will probably be able to use him more. They have more outside weapons, and they can use more help in the slot. Plus, a gadget guy would help them out. Yeah, let Reek Woolen. I'm in for that. I'll take that all day. And Hancock is safety. Yes. And you mentioned Jerry Jeudy here. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. So, do you think Taylor Rapp to be more careful when tackling due to hurting? Yeah, I think so. Not hurting his own players, hurting himself. Because remember last year he's had concussions here because he's been reckless. He runs out there like a man possessed. He's not that fast, but he's plenty powerful. Like, he hits hard. And so when you have a guy who hits as hard as him, you're going to have to really show out because he doesn't have the speed. And because he doesn't have the speed, he has to make up for it in physicality. And that's gotten him hurt, and it's also hurt some of his buddies. But I think he's more worried about himself getting hurt. He's not worried about hurting somebody else. That's ball. But if you hurt yourself a bunch, you're going to be like, okay, I got to slow this down. But he's already too slow. So that's horrible for Taylor. It is. See, I agree Hancock can be no worse than Rapp at this point, according to the PFF grade. The PFF grade is awful. Let me pull up that screen for you guys. It's awful. Share screen. Boom. So, this is our defense here. This is our starting defense. I'm going to take me off of here if I can. Nope, I can't. Okay. If you look at all the PFF grades here, Terrell Bernard's a 49.3. Dorian Williams is a 45. Taylor Rapp's a 44.6. Right? That's the entire right side of the defense behind Oliver and Rousseau. Clearly, that's the problem. And them being bad is making Christian Benford look bad. Right? Christian Benford is struggling because he doesn't have a competent safety on that side of the field who can help him when he needs help. When we're playing burners and he needs somebody who can back him up, there's no one there to do that. If you replace Jordan or Taylor Rapp with a Jordan Hancock, a guy who has speed, a guy who knows how to play safety and slot, a guy who can help Christian Benford's rating goes up. Also, Jordan Hancock, very good tackler, solid in the box, can play deep and can play along the line. Is he great? We don't know. We haven't really seen him play much. He's played a little bit in the preseason, and he looked good there. He got himself hurt there, but he looked good there. Now he's healthy again. You take Rapp out, you put that guy in there, and I believe our defense immediately gets better. That better safety helps those two linebackers in the middle and on the outside there, and the cornerback on that side. The entire right side of the defense is struggling because Rapp is not playing very well. To me, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Taylor Rapp needs to be better. And it's not going well. See, Judy, as good as he would be, he doesn't fit the culture. Sometimes the culture changes people, man. You know? I don't know what is going on with my browser, but this thing is aggravating the heck out of me. But yeah, look at that defense. We all know the glowing sore red thumb is right here. The sore thumb is right there. It's like a cartoon when somebody smacks themselves in the finger with a hammer in old Bugs Bunny, and that thumb just pulses red. That's what Taylor Rapp is doing. And everybody around him is struggling because they have to pick up his weight. They have to carry his weight. If it's me, you have to set him down. Going to nickel. Taron Johnson playing solid. But our corners are struggling. Trey White is struggling because Trey White is old. Bedford's struggling because he's on the side with Rapp. That's a problem. See, Trey not the same. He's still aggressive. His covering is not there. His covering is okay, but he shouldn't be covering anybody's number one. And we've been having him do that. He covered Diggs. Why are we having him cover Diggs? He's not fast enough to cover Diggs. Diggs used to eat his lunch in practice when they were here in Buffalo. So Diggs knows exactly how Trey plays, and Diggs still has some in the tank. Trey does not have that same amount in the tank. He's got some in the tank, but he doesn't have nothing near what Diggs has got. He should not have been covering Diggs man-to-man at all, ever. Ever. But I think he still has covering skill. It's just not exactly what it needs to be. Oh, snap. The Giants. Oh, snap. Hang on, what? I think they lost, though. I got Redzone on in the corner. Giants. Oh, lost. They lost by 1. Okay. Damn. Bo Nix. But yeah, guys, look. Tre'Davious White. I can't wait for Max Harrison to get back because I'm not going to say it can't be worse than Trey White because it can be. It can definitely be worse than Trey White. It could be Dane Jackson. But this right here, that ain't it. So, Ogunjobi's back for the first time because he's never been on a team yet. He's been on a team, but he's not. You know what the hell I'm saying. Ogunjobi is now in the lineup from his suspension. Michael Hoyt coming back, playing both defensive end and linebacker should help, especially on rundowns. You may see him out there replacing Dorian Williams to really get after the runner, seal the edge, and stop this run game from being so porous. You could also see him out there to replace a Milano or a Shaq Thompson to be able to get downhill. But I personally prefer Shaq Thompson to be out there over Terrell Bernard. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but just how I feel about it. Do we need Max Harrison to cover Diggs when they meet up in December? No one else but him. Agreed 100%. You're not wrong. Right? Because Max Harrison has the catch-up speed. Trey doesn't. By the time Trey realized he was beat, there was just no way. He didn't have enough speed left to get there. And if that was Max Harrison, he may have been able to get there. But Trey's not. He's not fast enough. He doesn't have the wheels anymore. Izzy, are you done with trust the process? Because we've been trusting all these years and it falls back to the same old, same old. No, I'm not done with trust the process. Because the process has gotten us into the playoffs every year. The process has won us 5 division championships in a row. The process gets us in there, and we keep losing to the freaking Chiefs, right? And it's not that the Bills are not good enough to beat the Chiefs. It's a coaching thing, right? Andy Reid is just the best head coach in the NFL. Like there's just no way around that. He's got the best quarterback to match him, right? And you could say that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. If you feel that way, there's not really an argument I can give you. The man's won 3 Super Bowls in a row, and he's been to 7 AFC Championship games in a row, right? So I can't really sit here and deny. Right, I can say Josh is playing better now. I could say that, but now Josh has lost 2 games in a row, and Mahomes has won like 2 or 3 in a row. So that ship has sailed. We're now on the ship where we have to look towards the Chiefs and the Bills in the playoffs, right? There's only been 3 quarterbacks that have beaten Mahomes in the postseason. 4 head coaches. Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game with the Patriots. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. Joe Burrow. Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. There's only 4 quarterbacks to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Head coaches to beat him. Bill Belichick with Tom Brady. Bruce Arians with Tom Brady. Zach Taylor with Joe Burrow. Nick Sirianni with Jalen Hurts. That's it. And the Sirianni with Jalen Hurts one, that was really the defense there was too nasty. Milton Williams and all those guys just Jordan big man Jordan in the middle. You know, like Brandon Graham, like that defense was just too nasty for him. And it is what it is. I'm not done with trust the process. I still trust the process. I just don't necessarily. I don't find it easy to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs because only, again, 4 head coaches have done it, and so it's a thing. We ran into one other team that beat us, and that team also beat Mahomes in the playoffs, and that was the Bengals with Joe Burrow. And the problem with Joe Burrow is he can't stay healthy. The man is hurt every other year. Now, every year, because they spend all their money on offensive weapons and none on offensive line. That line is terrible, right? Surprisingly enough, Joe Flacco was able to play behind it this past week and outdueled Aaron Rodgers, and that game was excellent. But the task at hand is not an easy task that we're asking for, that we're asking of McDermott. And I think that if we were to fire McDermott and he goes somewhere else, he could end up being like an Andy Reid or a Bill Belichick, where he head coached at one place, learns from his mistakes at the previous, and then goes and win a Super Bowl for somebody else. Right? And I understand the logic, right? The Eagles, they fired Andy Reid, and then they went with Doug Peterson. And in a couple short years, Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl, right? But then he got fired immediately. It was more of a flash in the pan with Doug Peterson, right? Nick Sirianni now, along with Howie Roseman, who is easily the best GM in the NFL. Howie Roseman is nasty. I don't know if there are many other cultural fits that the Bills could hire as a head coach and general manager that are going to get us there if we fired Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. I don't know who else wants to come here. Like I love Western New York. I live in North Carolina. Taxes are lower here. Benefits for Army veterans and other military service veterans are just better here, so I live here. The state of North Carolina takes better care of the veterans, so I live here. But I love Western New York, and if they took care of veterans as good as North Carolina, I'd live there instead. I'd be back home because I love it back home. My family's back home. I like the feel of the Rochester and Buffalo air on my skin. When you like, it feels different here. The air is thicker. It's humidity. It's even when it's not humid, you still feel more density in the air. When you go back home, like the air feels crisp and clean, and it doesn't feel dirty here, but you feel dirty because the air is such a weight on your body. It's an issue. See, what up is trust the process, but Bean needs to get some actual talent and not be defensive when people are asking for it. Yeah, I agree. Bean can't draft. He's only good at moving money. I disagree entirely with that. Bean is drafted pretty well, but we haven't really been in a position to draft a lot of guys. Now, if you say Bean doesn't draft well in the first round, I wouldn't argue that one. But he does draft fairly well. He got Christian Benford in the 6th round. He didn't get Kyrie Elam first round, Christian Benford 6th round. He still got a guy who's capable of being an All-Pro. It just wasn't the first round guy. It turned out to be the 6th round guy, right? What was his second year? Josh Allen, Bean drafted him. Tremaine Edmonds, Bean drafted him. I gotta look at draft classes now. Jeez. And just so you know, like every GM misses on players. Like they just do. So we go back to 2017, which is what's his name? Doug Whaley's last draft. Right. He drafted Trey White, Zay Jones, Deion Dawkins, Matt Milano, Nathan Peterman, Tanner Viejo. The next draft, Josh Allen, Tremaine Edmonds, Harrison Phillips, Taron Johnson, Saron Neal, Wyatt Teller, Ray McLeod, Austin Proehl. I think all but 2 of those guys are still in the NFL. And Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Harrison Phillips, really good defensive tackle. Taron Johnson, one of the best nickels in the NFL. Wyatt Teller, one of the best guards in the NFL. Second year, or it was 2019, excuse me. Ed Oliver, people are up and down on Ed Oliver. If he stays healthy, Ed Oliver's a dog. Cody Ford, miss. Devin Singletary, solid back for us for 4 years. Then we let him go. Dawson Knox, pretty good draft pick in the 3rd round. Voshon Joseph, Jaquan Johnson was a pretty good backup safety and great special teamer. Darryl Johnson and Tommy Sweeney. They both played well for us on special teams. 2020, AJ Epinesa has been a good rotational defensive end for us. He gets 6.5 sacks per year. Zach Moss was a miss. Gabe Davis gave us 4 good years. Jake Fromm, not nowhere to be found. Tyler Bass, solid kicker. Dane Jackson played for us for 4 good years. Started a lot, played decently well. Wasn't great, but for a 7th round pick, can't complain. 2021, Greg Rousseau, picked 30th overall. And then he put Boogie Basham. That's a miss. Spencer Brown, 3rd round, excellent pick. Starting defensive or right tackle for the Buffalo Bills. Tommy Doyle, a good depth piece for us. Marquez Stevenson, DeMar Hamlin, solid backup safety. Liability as a starter. Rashad Wildgoose, he's now in the UFL, if I remember correctly. And Jack Anderson, he's now on another team. Drafted Kyrie Elam, that was ass. James Cook, excellent draft pick. Terrell Bernard, pretty good draft pick. Khalil Shakir, excellent draft pick. Matt Ariza, yikes. Now he's a Chief, but that whole situation. Christian Benford, excellent draft pick. Luke Tenuta, didn't work out. Bale Inspector, we all know what that is. The guy has a good drafts. Like he can draft. If we look at the last 5 years, okay, we'll go over the last 5 years. 2023, 2023. Dalton Kincaid, good draft pick. Osiris Torrance, good draft pick. Dorian Williams, pretty good draft pick. Justin Shorter, not so much. Nick Broker, not so much. Alex Austin is now a Patriot. But those first 3 picks have been pretty good. 2024, Keon Coleman, wait and see. That whole draft is wait and see. Dwayne Carter, that's a miss if you ask me. Ray Davis, solid backup running back. Not so good this year so far, but we'll see. SVPG at center. We'll see what happens when our boy Connor McGovern's contract is up. He might be next up. Javon Solomon, good 5th rotational defensive end. Tylen Grable is a good swing tackle for us. He played very well last year when he had to play. Taquan Hardy and Travis Clayton, And then this year, Maxwell Harrison, yet to be seen. TJ Sanders on IR. Landon Jackson, wait and see. Deion Walker has been outstanding. Jordan Hancock, we're all clamoring for him to be on the field. Jackson Hawes, good draft pick. Dorian Strong, played well when he was in there. Chase Lunt, he made the team as a 6th round pick, offensive lineman. And then Caden Prather is on the practice squad. So the Bills have been drafting solidly. I get that the team looks like shit right now, right? So I'm a level with you, my man. I'm a level with you, my man, right? Because I don't want to sound like I'm right because I said it, right? I want you to understand that he has not done the best job, in my opinion, of re-signing the right players. Khalil Shakir, right player to re-sign, right? James Cook, right player to re-sign. I am questioning the re-signing of Terrell Bernard right now. I am questioning that re-signing, that contract. Now, I like Terrell Bernard because he can make plays. I've seen him catch pick sixes and force fumbles. Like last year in the playoffs, we played the Ravens. He smacks the ball out of Mark Andrews' hands, and like when the time push comes to shove, he can make some plays. But Terrell Bernard's contract, I'm questioning it now. It is a questionable contract. But James Cook and Khalil Shakir, you had to resign them. They're the lifeblood of the team. But man, Terrell Bernard, and I would say Christian Benford, because if you go off PFF alone, which I don't, because it's not something that you should rely on for building your opinion, unless you just want to get what the results are, right? Because it's a results-based business, right? The NFL is a results-based business, but PFF is a good tool if you're looking for what the results are, right? And how players grade. But a player can grade poorly based on what's around him. Terrell Bernard's got a terrible safety in Taylor Rapp this year, and I think that could potentially be affecting his play because he's having to watch what Taylor Rapp's not doing. Also, Trey White not having a great year. Whatever's around you can help you, but my questioning of Brandon Beane is not the draft, but the re-signing. Like Dawson Knox's contract is another one we're looking at, right? I think after this year, the Bills are either going to cut Dawson Knox or they're going to re-sign him, extend him, and push some of that money down the line. And he'll be paid as a tight end 2 in the NFL from now on if he wants to remain in Buffalo. He seems like he's all in on Buffalo, which is awesome, right? And I like having Dawson Knox as a backup tight end because he can be a starting NFL caliber tight end. We've seen him be an NFL caliber tight end, starting caliber tight end. And then we drafted Dalton Kincaid, who's just a better receiver. And now Dawson Knox is that backup dude. But we missed Dalton Kincaid for a week, and Dawson Knox went in there and played well. He didn't play at Kincaid's level, but he played well. But that's that contract you gave him is for a starting tight end, and you went and drafted a starting tight end. Right? Like, now I'm not questioning contracts like Deion Dawkins. I'm not questioning contracts like Spencer Brown. I'm not questioning contracts, again, like Khalil Shakir, like James Cook. Those contracts are valid. But I think that we could have done better by giving the extension to, instead of Terrell Bernard, Connor McGovern. It's been an excellent center for us. It's been excellent at center for us. We could have used that money maybe to also extend David Edwards, who's been a solid left guard for us. Like our offensive line, David Edwards is not a superstar guard. He's not one of the best guards in the NFL. Every NFL offensive line has a hole somewhere where just an average player at their position is in there filling in, or that person is garbage. Now, David Edwards is far from garbage, but he is definitely above average. He's well above average. And so if you break down this offensive line, you could have paid David Edwards, a 4-year deal, $3 million a year, and I think that keeps him around. Connor McGovern would require a bump in pay. He signed as a guard. Centers get paid more than guards. And that's Josh's dude. But if you're looking at the PFF grade and the results, David Edwards is the third best offensive lineman on this line. Spencer Brown is 1. Deion Dawkins is 2. David Edwards is 3. Spencer Brown, 74.1 grade. Deion Dawkins, 73.5 grade. David Edwards, 72.4 grade. McGovern, 63.4 grade. And then Cyrus Torrance, 59. Right? So while we're sitting here thinking that David Edwards is that screaming, sore thumb of the offensive line that doesn't deserve to be paid, he's ranked 11th amongst guards in the NFL. 11th. Why? Because he's got a really good center next to him, and he's got a really good tackle next to him, and he's adequately skilled at his position, and he's strong. So David Edwards is playing very well. Also, Coach Crummer, he knows the system very well. We could have used that money that we used to pay Terrell Bernard on guys like this. He said, "Okay, you're right. I don't want again. I don't want to be just the guy who wants to be right. I want to point out why, because I can't help where if I am into something, that I go all in. I'm either all in or I'm all out. Right? That's it. Like if I'm interested and you have my attention, or I'm not and you don't. Right? And so I love ball. I love football. I much rather would have paid Connor McGovern and David Edwards or Edwards, yeah, David Edwards, that money that's Terrell Bernard. It is what it is. So there are points where Brandon Beane is struggling as a general manager, and that's where it is, in my opinion. See, the majority of our contributors that we rely on were drafted. Yeah. See, no excuses for Josh. When he got married, he said he found out he was more than a football player. He better remember he is a great football player, and that is why he can marry a movie star. It's true, but I don't think that's what's holding Josh back. I think it was a statement that he said, and I think that he's always known more than ball. But like he bought a pistachio farm and a couple other nut farms, so he's doing other things in football already. But I think that when he found his wife, he just the happiness makes you say things that you don't necessarily that don't sound good when it comes to it. See, I just hope when this team is at full strength, we take over. I'm with you there. See, Joe Brady is overrated. He has coached 4 of the best NFL players in history: Allen, Burrow, Jefferson, and Chase. I don't know if he's overrated, but I do agree with this point. He is calling plays way too cute for what we have on offense, right? We don't have studs like that, right? We have James Cook, we have Josh Allen, we have Dalton Kincaid, okay? Those are your studs, right? And so at this point, they might as well go 2 tight ends most of the time. They might as well go 12 personnel most of the time. Put Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox out there. Dalton Kincaid is basically a wide receiver. And then the receivers out there, Shakir should see the lion's share of reps, but then you sprinkle in the other guys. But this offense, they're getting too cute, as they said. So I'm with there. So do you think McGovern will be gone after this season? Very possible. Can everybody hear me? It says my sound dropped. Let me see. I'm going to pull up my video on my phone. And I'm going to give a like because we need to. Let's see. Hello? Let's see. Yep. I got audio. Yeah, I got audio. See, I think they should move Coleman around more. I think so too. He's supposed to be a big slot, right? Like Drake London. Like Drake London, you see him on the slot a lot. And so, sure, that takes Shakira out the slot, right? But Shakira's not going to play every down, right? He's not every down in distance for Khalil Shakir. So what do? Shakir, you see second and thirds. Coleman, you see first and seconds, right? And so you alternate, right? Or you give some reps, and when you give Khalil Shakir a break, you throw Coleman in the slot. So that's what I would do with Coleman. I think Coleman is a good receiver, but he's not built to play where he's playing right now. London is a monster, and he did make us look like little boys, right? No, there's no arguing that. He made us look like little bitches, and I don't like that either. But that's what Coleman should be doing. He should be big boying nickelbacks, right? He should be out there reminding them that they're small because he's big. And Khalil Shakir, who I love, right? He's going to need to rest. He's going to need to rest. So what do? When he comes out the field, Palmer goes outside, Keon comes inside. Let Keon eat on the inside. But, that's neither here nor there. But the help, I think, from Michael Hoyt coming back is going to be a big contributing factor here, right? Because he can play linebacker. He can play defensive end. He can play defensive tackle at times. He can play on the inside, especially on obvious passing downs, and you let him rush up the middle. Like Michael Hoyt is a guy who, for the Rams, very underrated. And he didn't see the field as much. He had 4 sacks last year, I think, for the Rams. But he's a very rotational piece. They let him go. We picked him up. I think that he, again, I've said this before, and I know a lot of other people have said it, is going to be a lot like that Lorenzo Alexander role, which we've missed since Lorax retired. If we can get a guy like that who can drop back in coverage and then randomly rush the passer, also seal the edge off, and we know McDermott knows how to use that type of player, sign me the hell up. Sign me the hell up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Michael Hoyt can fill that void that Lorenzo Alexander created when he retired, and we know that Sean McDermott knows how to use that player, we know that Sean McDermott can put him in position to succeed. We know that Sean McDermott can put him in position to eat up those edges, tear up those offensive tackles, and get downfield to where he's making tackles for a loss. If you can put that guy in there with Joey Bosa, Deion Walker, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, he frees up Rousseau. He allows Rousseau to be more free. Because now you got this big bad bastard coming off the edge. And I think this defense with Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi is going to be special. Because now instead of having Jordan Phillips rotate in and out with Daquan Jones and Deion Walker, it's going to be Larry Ogunjobi, a quality player in the NFL. And Hoyt, we're literally getting help at 3 levels of the defense if Harrison comes back quick, fast, and in a hurry. And we desperately need that, right? We desperately need that because obviously the offense is going through some growing pains. Hoyt is a guy who provides a lot of different things, and he's an amazing athlete. He's an amazing athlete. Let's see. Is Michael Hoyt going to be rusty since he didn't play for 7 weeks? He's actually been practicing for 3 weeks already. So whenever a player is suspended, they have to stay away from the team for the majority of the suspension, and then they can come back 2 weeks before their suspension ends. Their suspension ended this week, week 6, or week 7. Excuse me. Their suspension ended last week, week 6. Right after that game, suspension was over. Right. So 2 weeks prior, they were practicing. Right. So they practiced for. Let me look up the schedule here. So after New Orleans, they were allowed to come back to practice. They practiced for the New England game, the Atlanta game, the bye week, and then they'll practice for Carolina week. So that's 4 weeks of practice that those boys are going to have coming back to the team. They've been allowed to practice for that much time. It's 2 weeks practice before you come off of suspension. So rusty, I don't think so. I think the Bills bye week played perfectly into the timing in which they need to be able to get back into the defense. And this defense, I'm telling you now, I believe is going to take off with these 2 guys coming back. And then when Harrison comes back, because they're going to open up his 21-day window, I believe this week was the rumor I heard. I'm not positive. We'll see. But if they open up his 21-day window, he could start anytime within those 3 weeks. I think it'd be safe to say we see a totally different Buffalo Bills defense with help on all 3 levels of defense: secondary, linebackers, defensive tackles, or defensive line. I think that the first 6 weeks of the season was kind of like a sacrifice. I'm upset about it, right? This whole show, you guys have seen me complain, right? I've had my complaints. I'm not even wearing a Bills shirt. I'm wearing my Rick and Morty shirt, right? Because that's my form of peaceful protest to the Buffalo Bills, because I love them and I care about them. But right now, I don't want them touching me because I'm upset with them. Okay? So that's where I'm at with the Bills. But I think that the way this is planned out, the position that the Buffalo Bills would go after is wide receiver. And I see you, Plague. Thought it was a cue for a second. I think we need a wide receiver still. Yes, I agree. The Bills need a wide receiver still. And here's the thing. With these guys coming back, that's the only position that they really need. That's it. What else do they need? Linebacker, we got Shaq Thompson out there. If Milano comes back, and our boy, can't get squared away. Terrell Bernard, Shaq Thompson, Matt Milano starters. Terrell Bernard in there, as a backup, I guess. He's a captain, so that's not going to happen. But you get Taylor Rapp out of there, and you put Jordan Hancock out there, or Jordan Poyer. Look, Jordan Poyer played better than Rapp too. He may not be fast. He's probably about as good as Rapp is right now, right? When it comes to physical ability. But when it comes to mental ability, he knows his defense better than Rapp. And he's not afraid to tackle anybody. And he's got better form when he does tackle. But I'd rather see Jordan Hancock out there than Jordan Poyer or Taylor Rapp. But I think that, yeah. Oof, eyes are getting dry. But yeah, we need a wide receiver. And that is the only position that I believe we should trade for. See, I told Daryl Gilliam, my man, back in the building. I told someone that I think they start Hairston versus KC to match him up with Worthy. That'd be a matchup worth watching. Yeah, the run defense is bad, but the defense has adjusted in the last 2 games, not the offense, because nobody gets open. That's not true. I watched the All-22. There were plays where people were open, and Josh didn't throw in the ball. There was one play in one play specifically that I saw. 3 dudes were open, and Josh just kept patting that ball. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3. On our Built in Buffalo page on Facebook, I think it was our page, or it was T. Estelle, who is with Built in Buffalo. Her podcast is Not Your Average Podcast in the 716. So check her out. She's excellent. She had a image from the All-22 where Josh is in the pocket's clean. No one's rushing him, and there are 3 receivers like wide open. No one near him. And I was like, I saw that in motion. And then I commented on her post. Josh was out of it. Because he was out of it. See, I think Bean definitely owes WGR an apology. He does. But it's not all on the wide receivers. Again, I think most of it is on Joe Brady when it comes to play calling, scheming it up, scripting the first quarter or however many drives that they script, the game script. A lot of that's on Joe Brady. I don't think that the wide receivers are necessarily the problem or as big of a problem as some people indicate. But yeah. Rapp is making business decisions all of a sudden. He can't play. Yeah. Well, I mean, and he hasn't been great for the Bills, but he's been pretty good. Like, he's made some good plays. But, see, I would take Cam Lewis back there at this point. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Cam Lewis doesn't have the talent of a Taylor Rapp, but he definitely still has some good enough skills, and you can count him to start every now and then. See, this year, Josh should know better. He should know better. He does know better. And Josh Allen will clean it up. But still, like the last 2 games have been fugly, and we don't need that. Right? I don't want to watch fugly football games. Like, if it's a win, sure. But, other than that, like, that's horrible. You think we trade on November 4th trade deadline? I think we might trade for somebody before that. We'll see. I think they'll give them like 1 more game or 2 more games to see what they can do. But, yeah. Cook was more than once. Josh was just out of it that game. I don't think that it's all in the receivers. I know that it looks bad because they didn't get open as often as you would want to, but I don't think that it was all on them. See, I wonder what would happen if we let Josh call his own plays depending on how the game is going. I think he does that sometimes. I think he'll go out there with a couple of plays, and then, he'll check out of something if the original play was not going to work or if he believed it wasn't going to work. So, yeah, the All-22 from the Atlanta game is alarming. Hopefully he snaps out of it. Yeah, it was alarming because there were open receivers on a lot of plays, and he just wasn't hitting them. And I don't know if he was frustrated still from the last week, but you got to let that shit fall. You can't hold on to that. Or maybe something happened, with his personal life. I hope not. But when his grandmother passed away, rest her soul, he had the best game of his career or one of the best games of his career. Offense needs to play all 4 quarters. That's true too. Izzy, I think we hear about a trade this week. I think so too. I think there'll be a trade this week. And I'm hoping that they get a guy, they send Curtis Samuel, and then they send, a little bit of extra draft capital so that way they can take Samuel's contract off our books, because that contract is $11 million that we can save this year. If we cut him, we don't save that money. But if we trade him, we do. So are you ready to admit the NFL is scripted yet? It's so obvious it's pathetic. No. I don't think so. But we'll see. I don't believe in that whole sports being scripted mess. So it makes me mad that we lost to the Pats because they're now 2.5 games ahead of us. 1.5 games ahead. So we're 4-2. They're 5-1 or 5-2. So they're a full game ahead of us because they beat us. And then they're the half a game ahead of us because they've played one more game than us. And that puts them at 5-2. Pretty sure. Standings. Yeah, 5-2. So they're 1.5 games ahead. But help is on the way, guys. We got a chance to relax from football this week. We got a chance to just watch everybody else play and not worry about the Bills. Get a little stress off our backs and just have hope that the Buffalo Bills will indeed recover and do better with these guys that they signed, that they intended on making this defense better. So we'll see what happens. But guys, that is my show for today. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. God bless all of you. Welcome to the Redzone Report. If you've not been here before, God bless and go Bills.